and British paraglider was murdered while taking on a grueling trek across a Mongolian mountain range alone. An inquest. Stephen Nash and pal Gareth Aston started out on their 10-day 217-mile journey in Khangai Nuruu together in August 2016, but the latter pulled out halfway through with a hip injury. The 53-year-old chemical engineer, from Runcorn, Cheshire, crossed on, but the next day was found dead in a valley by locals under a hunt. He had suffered stab wounds, including one through his heart, reports the Liverpool Echo. After hearing a man had been convicted of the murder of Mr Nash, from Helsby, in Mongolia. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments. In his statement, his widow Shirley, 60, said Mr Nash, an expert paraglider, had seen the trip to Mongolia as unfinished business after he attempted the trip across the remote region in 2006 but had to turn back due to adverse weather. She said before he left, on August 19, she had asked her partner if he would be safe and he replied, "Mongolia has the nicest, friendliest and kindest." The teaching assistant, who said Mr Nash proposed to her immediately before they did a bungee jump, said, "Anyone can get married and have a husband or a wife, but not everyone has a soulmate, best friend in life together that fits perfectly like a 1,000-piece jigsaw." Gantulga Batsukh, 39, was convicted of Mr Nash's murder in Mongolia and sentenced to 16 years in prison in 2017. The inquest was told he had appealed against his conviction, but it was upheld and 2 years were added to his. Mr Aston said the night before the killing he left Mr Nash. They had used a satellite phone belonging to a group of nomads to arrange for him to be picked up the following. In the morning Mr Aston was picked up around 10 a.m. and Mr Nash began setting off about the same time. He told the court, "I think he was quite excited about getting on and finishing for," but Mr Aston said he became concerned the next day because Mr Nash's GPS tracker had not moved far, and he was then contacted by Sergeant Justin Jones, from Cheshire Police, said Mr Nash's body was found by locals under a hunting cover in Khuut in the Khandargat Pass. He told the court there was evidence the defendant had returned home, on a horse, at about 3 p.m. on August 31st, and so Mr Nash's death would have occurred between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. The court heard a post-mortem showed Mr Nash sustained 2 stab wounds and one of those penetrated the aorta, the main artery from the. Concluding the inquest, Mr Moore said, "From what I have heard today, Steve was dearly loved by his family and friends and very much admired by all those who had the pleasure. It is clear to me that he had an adventurous spirit, and that's putting it mildly, and a real zest for life, and clearly he is very much missed." Shane Smith, of Slater and Gordon, who represented the Nash family, said, "Losing a loved one is always tragic, but Steve's family's grief is made all the worse knowing that it was so." The evidence put before the coroner was extremely difficult for Steve's family to hear, but they know it's an important step in the process of understanding what happened.